Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Wherever you are in the world, good day. My name is Kim Schofield, and I am your host today for Inspiration Tuesdays. Thank you so much for joining us for our third episode of Inspiration Tuesdays, which is a program that focuses on the importance of inspiration to survive and thrive. And we feature guests from around the world that are an inspiration to their industries, colleagues, and communities. Now today, be prepared to be truly, truly inspired. I am joined today by Brigadier General Anne Macdonald, U.S. Army retired and president of the U.S. Army Women's Foundation. And today we are going to talk about the role of inspiration in breaking down barriers and creating opportunities for women in the military and in industry. And welcome to Inspiration Tuesdays.
Thank you so much, Kim. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for asking me.
So then how can we as women leaders inspire the next generation of women to aspire to non-traditional roles and just go for it?
Oh man, there's several things. I think probably the first thing is having that growth mindset that I can do this. I'm going to look at this as a challenge, and don't let naysayers get you down. Now, some people would say don't listen to the naysayers. It's always good to hear the good and the bad and make your own decision from that. I mean, it is input, it is data. Now, sometimes you've got data and you can discount it and discard it, but there might be, a little piece of information that, well, maybe that is true. I think I can sharpen that. But I wouldn't let people who are trying to pull you down get you down. And if you have that right optimism, you have that right mindset that I can do this, understand there are going to be challenges as you go, understand that there are going to be setbacks, or there might be setbacks as you go. And how are you going to respond to that? How are you going to get back up? I mean, there's so many great books. I'm thinking about, as I'm talking, Brene Brown. Oh my gosh, she's written so many books about this. One, The Gifts of Imperfection. You're good just the way you are. You're good just the way you are. And, if you think you're not, do some soul searching and figure out who it is. Who are you? What are you all about? What motivates you? What is your purpose in life? And recognize, hey, your gift, and you may not be the same as everybody else. You're not the same as everybody else. Your gift is you. And then daring greatly, trying, it's another book she wrote, being vulnerable and being willing to put yourself up and say, hey, I'm willing to try this. There's also a book by Carol Dweck, and it's called The Growth Mindset. That's an interesting book about, we have both growth mindset and fixed mindset because we are human. But to have a growth mindset where you're open to trying different things and open to new challenges. And then I'd also say that reach out to a mentor, and your mentor does not have to look like you. In fact, get people who don't look like you. Get people who are different from you. There's some philosophies that say have a personal board of directors. Doesn't mean you all sit around and they, snipe at you, but somebody who's willing to say, hey, Anne, you need to do this, and the people that you want to form will be somebody who's a good connector if you're not a good connector, someone who thinks outside of the box, someone who thinks 90 degrees differently from you, so that you're getting, oh, okay, I hadn't considered that option. Thank you. You want different people who are able to provide that 360 feedback. And I'd always say as you go, be willing to course correct. That's an aviation term, but be willing to course correct as you go. If I were the person I was, even though the foundation came from West Point, if I were just that person now with all the things that have happened in the world and are happening in the world, I have to be able to be flexible as I move forward and adjust and adapt as I go.
So that's very interesting. So course correct. What I also hear is reading, for not everyone feels terribly inspired. And what I'm hearing you say is that having a mentor, reading, reaching out, surround yourself with people who are different from you, and be willing to course correct are some of the
You know, and if you're not a reader, that's okay too. There's so many podcasts. There's so many inspirational things that are out on the internet right now. You know, it's there for the asking and for the investment in your time. Simon Sinek. I mean, there's so many great people out there to listen to. And remember, you're listening to, and you're pulling strands of important things. You're not copying.
Right.
But you are listening to and saying, yes, I like that, I don't like that. I'm inspired by that, I'm not inspired by that.
So, I would be remiss if in the course of this interview, I did not point out that, you have been married for 31 years to Major General John Macdonald. And that is truly impressive in any scenario. But given that you both have had such high profile military careers and duty assignments that were oftentimes at other ends of the world, how did you inspire each other, and how did you support each other with your respective careers?
Well, it goes to the word you used, respective careers. I would say respect for each other. So, a couple things about John and, me is that we're both Army brats. We both went to West Point. We're both aviators. So we grew up very much our family life, traveling, moving around. We understand the experience that West Point brought, duty, honor, country, the aviation background. So that professional and personal aspect that had similarities really allowed us to understand each other. But as we grew as individuals, as a couple, as professionals, to respect each other, it goes back to the story with the sergeant. Was I hurt initially because the feedback came from someone I loved? But I was able to digest it and realize, hey, I needed to hear that. And thank goodness it was from someone who cared about me, who did care about me. So I think that that's helpful. I admire my husband greatly, and I still do to this day. And I think that admiration, having a sense of humor, having fun together. We love to work out together. We like to, right now we're very active in swimming and doing open water swims and I think in golfing. So we have a lot of things that we enjoy doing together. We like to travel. So I think all of that, just respect first, having a sense of humor, enjoying each other's company. And the other thing I'd probably say, being willing to cut each other slack. We don't always have our best days.
No. Well, that is sage advice for anyone, and very, very your marriage is very, very admirable and impressive.
Thank you.
So do you think that there is a role for government to play in inspiring our next generation, our populations, to get back on its feet once we finally get COVID behind us?
Absolutely. Government is made up of the people in our democracy. And we need leadership in government. And that leadership needs to bring us together and give us the best advice and give us guidance on how, in this particular time in COVID, how to live our lives.
Well, I think we are all, as a global community, are going to have to work together to get COVID behind us and get the economy back on track. So I've just about run out of questions, Anne, and we're almost out of time. But is there anything else that you would like to say that I did not ask you?
I think one thing is in being a leader, and I sort of touched on a little bit, you put yourself in somebody else's shoes,
Mm-hmm.
but that aspect of you don't know what's going on in someone's life, and being empathetic and being sympathetic is really important. And part of that stems from, when you start off, particularly in the I'll say in the military, but being able to be a good follower. And from being a good follower, it presents you such an interesting vantage point where you can see things from, okay, I like this. This feels right. I'm going to do this when I'm in a leadership role. Or being able to assess, that wasn't done right. So sometimes you get that vantage point of seeing, well, this, what to do and what not to do. But I think that being a good follower is so important. And to ask the questions, what is the direction we're going in? I am not clear with this. It's important. You have somebody who's in a leadership role, appointed or otherwise, earned otherwise, he or she deserves your loyalty. Now, if it comes to the point where something immoral, unethical, illegal takes place, that's a different circumstance, and that's a different avenue altogether. But just being a good follower. And then another thing that I don't know if I stressed enough was understanding who you are as a person and knowing what your limitations are. And knowing, how can you lead others if you can't lead yourself? I mean, that's the most important thing when you start off, is being the best you can be. And that's why having that personal board of directors, having people that you can go to and ask questions, being able to go to different resources and question, and constantly making those, as I call them, course corrections. But being able to look at yourself from time to time and say, is everything in my house in order?
Well, Anne, if somebody wanted to contact you or reach out to you, what is the best way for them to do that?
I would say through the United States Army Women's Foundation. And we have a website, www.awfdn.org, and you can contact me there. And I would love to hear from you.
Fantastic. Anne, you are such a remarkable woman and one of the most accomplished, humble, and inspirational women I've ever met. You are a true pioneer, not just for women, but for anyone. And your success is such an inspiration to us all.
Thank you for your very kind words. I have truly been blessed, and I'm grateful every day for the experiences I've had. I'm grateful for the life that I have and the life that I'm living.
Thank you very much, Anne, for your insights. It was truly a pleasure. For our audience, you will be able to find this video and all of the other episodes of Inspiration Tuesdays on YouTube at Chief Inspiration Officer Kim Schofield. Our next episode will feature Shelley Brunswick, Chief Operating Officer of Space Foundation, and it will air on March the 2nd. This is Kim Schofield. Thank you again for joining us. Stay safe, be well, and go forth and inspire.